This is the 18 Strong Podcast with Jeff Pellizzaro, episode number 51.
Welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast, where you get direct access to the world's greatest experts on training harder, practicing smarter, and playing better golf. Now, here's your host, Jeff Pellizzaro.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Jeff Pellizzaro. Welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast, and I want to thank you for showing up to the 51st episode of the podcast. This is officially the 1-year anniversary week of 18 Strong, both the show, the website, and so I just want to thank you for your support, for being here, and for supporting the brand of 18 Strong and letting it be a resource for you for your golf fitness information, mental game information, and really anything that's helping you play better golf, tying you to some of the best professionals and coaches that are out there, and hopefully we'll continue to provide you with great content and information. I think we did something pretty special for the 1-year anniversary. I wanted to, bring on a very special guest, and I think we were able to capture one of the pioneers really in the world of golf fitness. And I have to give a huge shout out to my buddy Ben Salisbury at TPI. He pulled through. I asked him, if there was any possible way we could get this guest on in the near future. And sure enough, we got him for the 1-year anniversary. We have Dave Phillips, one of the co-founders of the Titleist Performance Institute, on here. Dave, if you don't know who he is obviously put together one of the greatest golf fitness organizations that are out there. He's a top 100 teacher, according to Golf Magazine, top 50 teacher, according to Golf Digest. He has over 25 years of instruction in the golf world and really is recognized as, one of the best instructors out there. Has worked with countless PGA professionals and has, I forget how many winners and major champions that he has worked with and overseen some of their care. And not only that, but just the idea that he has helped create an organization in the Titleist Performance Institute that has over 1,500 TPI certified experts in over, I think it's nearly 60 countries now, which is pretty amazing to think that it started with him and Greg building this incredible facility for Titleist that was meant to basically be a hub and allow them to test and track all the different aspects of a golfer, the professional golfers, of their game, to make them get them better, make them improve. And it's just blown up and created this huge environment of certified instructors that are really preaching and are ambassadors of golf fitness, those like myself and many of the others that you've heard on this podcast. So I'm honored to bring Dave on the show. And, for you guys to be here for the 1-year anniversary, I just, again, want to thank you so much for the support you've given me. I want to thank the guests that I've had on the show and the people that are wearing the 18 Strong t-shirts around, posting pictures on Facebook and sharing our content. It means a whole lot to me, and I know that we're going to continue to reach a lot of golfers, help a lot of golfers. So thank you to all of you out there. I want to jump right into this episode. I know Dave's got a lot of great information. He's going to share a little bit of the mentality of starting TPI, how it's grown, how it's evolved. And then we actually get into a little bit of technical talk about a few things that you can do in your game to really improve, your sequencing and learning how to train both for the fitness side as well as more the golf instruction side and where you draw the line between the two. So let's get into this episode, and I'll catch you on the other side. So, Dave, one of the things that I would like for you to share with us is, TPI. We all know of TPI as basically the birth of golf fitness for many of us. But I want to take you, or I would like for you to take us back to the beginning. Sure. And give us an idea. We talked to Lance when Lance was on the show about his start with TPI and where it was. But with you and Greg starting the whole thing, if you could give us an idea of what was the why, what was the vision when you guys first started this thing, and how has it grown, and what were your expectations at the very beginning?
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple, really. It was a time in golf when Tiger had obviously come onto the scene, and, he was really the first so-called golf athlete in that in 96, 7, when he first burst onto the scene, it really changed the shape of golf in many ways, and golf fitness for that matter. So even though, I had known Nick Faldo and Greg Norman and Gary Player, and there were guys like Frank Stranahan, and there were always guys playing the professional tours that were in great shape and were working out. But it never really became mainstream until Tiger dominated the way he did. And really the why for it was, we were at a place in our time, Greg and I, where we worked with a lot of good players, and Greg was really on the physical side of things and studying biomechanics. And we felt like it was important that people understood why they needed to understand their body and how it worked. And, as a golf professional, it's frustrating when someone comes to you for a lesson and your intention is to help them get better. And you can know a lot about the swing, a lot about mechanics in today's with the technology that's available, but the student still struggles. They don't get better. And you've got all the science and you've got the technology and the plans, but what basically happens is you're missing the most important factor, and that you haven't evaluated the body. So the why was we felt like golfers needed to have an understanding of what their body could do. And we were going to do our best to figure that out and give it to them, because, if you teach somebody and you understand how they move, it makes it so easy, and you don't, you succeed much faster as an instructor, and also the player, they relate to you because you're always telling them things that they're capable of doing. So that's really the why behind it.
Great. And did you guys have any idea that it would get to be this big and that it would grow this? Well, I'm not sure if you think that, looking back, did it grow quickly or was it a struggle at the beginning?
I think the average person, I guess, well, put it this way. When you're working with elite level players and they see somebody like Tiger and they start to study what he does, they start to realize that if they don't do this, they're never going to be able to compete with him. So at the highest level, it was actually quite easy. Everybody jumped in and was like, hey, we want to come to TPI and get you guys to evaluate us and put us on a program and so forth. The filter down of that changed. We all went out there gung-ho with the fact that, wow, everybody's going to want to do this. But the fact is everybody doesn't, and they don't have to. And that is that the average, golfer out there, the average person that's listening that just wants to enjoy the game of golf, they might play once a week, they might play on the weekend with their family or their friends. They're probably not going to run to the gym and work out, like a tour player. I mean, that's their job. If they wanted it to be their job, then yeah, I would expect them to be all in. But if it's just, what we wanted to do is give them an understanding of the movement of their body and maybe some simple things that they could do to help them get better and help them really enjoy the game more on the weekends and so on and so forth. So at first we came out all gung-ho with, oh yeah, everybody's going to do this. And then we kind of changed our program slightly to filter it down to, not everybody has to do this, but they do have to have an awareness of what they're capable of doing. So it might have switched from building fitness programs and trying to get everybody on them to just have an understanding of what you can do. It doesn't matter how you look or what have you. Just know what you can do, and let's make sure we support that by getting physically assessed so that you know how you move. And then it becomes fun and it becomes easy.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point that, people just kind of need to know themselves, know what their goals are, what their body can do. Now, it seems like at the very beginning, you were working, or you guys still are, but you were working with a lot of tour players, working with the golfers themselves. But in today's world, 2015, TPI is also known as a huge educational resource for the professionals. I mean, that's a huge part of what you guys do now is relaying your message and teaching other fitness professionals, medical professionals like myself, golf instructors. So at what point did it change from working with the golfers, making the golfers better to, hey, wait a second, why don't we kind of turn the model a little bit and start educating more people, relaying our message and hitting the masses that way?
Well, I think what happened was, when we first started, we basically started doing these kind of 3-day golf schools where the average person could come, and we had a lot of tour players coming through. And, it got to the point where we started to have, this was great, but we had a 9-month, you had to book us 9 months in advance to get to see us. That's how busy it was.
Wow.
And it just was incredibly successful and extremely busy. And Greg and I were pretty much run ragged, doing that. And that wasn't really our intention. It was really, Titleist was such a great supporter of us and, helped us develop this. And we've taken it from there. And the TPI brand, but they continue to sponsor and support the TPI brand extremely well. And what we found is that, there's only one TPI. It's right here in Oceanside, California. And even though we got asked to build them in China and Dubai and Europe and Florida and all over the place, people would give us land to build another one. It's not about the building, it's about the people. And we said, well, if we're not going to run it, who is, right? Mm-hmm. We can't go to all these countries. So that's really when the education started to come in, because we said, why don't we empower everybody to be able to do what we do? And that's when we kind of developed the educational program. And as you know, we have multiple levels, and we train medical experts, fitness and golf. And we have a big junior arm to what we do. And that's really been brought about because of the development of junior golfers, and the fact that we were fortunate to develop a lot of these guys. I mean, we had Ricky Fowler when he was 14, 15, and Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy. And so when these guys were in their teens, they were coming to TPI, and we saw what it took to become one of those players. And now you see them go on to succeed at the highest level, which is awesome. But what we learned was we need to pass this on. We can't be the only guys that do this. So let's develop a world-class education program, which is, I believe we have. We have the largest golf health and fitness certification in the world. We have over 16,000 people certified in 58 countries, and we teach it in 7 different languages. So it's an awesome program, as you know, and it continues to get better, and we continue to learn.
Yeah, I will definitely vouch for every one of those statements you just made. I mean, I've been blown away with the educational programs that you guys have, the live seminars that I've been a part of, and I think that everybody listening here knows, we've had a lot of TPI certified folks on the show. And what I think is really neat is there's so many different people, there's so many different philosophies that all these people have, but what TPI has done is bring us together, give us some common knowledge and basis to go off of, whether we all do the same evaluations or the same tests and exercises. That's not going to happen in any platform. But what you guys have done is kind of given a home base for golf fitness. And if you could, because I know that many of the folks listening are not fitness professionals. There are a lot of fitness professionals on here, and I'm sure a lot are tuning in to hear you and listen to the story of TPI as well. But for those that aren't fitness professionals or medical professionals, can you just give a little bit of an overlay of what the educational program of TPI consists of? And I know you guys are doing a lot of new stuff, new online stuff, which I think is really cool. If you could just give them an idea of the span of what you guys are providing for all of us.
Yeah, so, we start with what we call our level 1 class, and really everybody takes that, whether you're medical, fitness, or golf, and that is really where we bring you together for 2 days. It's 8 hours a day. And, now you actually get an online course ahead of time that you have to view, which is a prerequisite, which is about 4 hours of video that shows you what you're going to go through during this 2 days. And then when we bring you together, we kind of identify what are the 12 most common swing characteristics that all golfers have. And that's not just us coming up with them. That's based on the data that we've been able to collect through our website. And we've probably got close to 350,000 golfers worldwide in there. So you're able to pull that data and go, this is what most people do. And even specific to age groups and gender as well. So, we go through the 12 most common swing characteristics, and we call them characteristics, and we're very open about that, not swing faults, because there's a lot of tour professionals that actually have these things, and they make a lot of money doing them. They just figured out how to use them. So, we want people to realize that just because you might have a problem doesn't mean it has to be a problem. You can actually work with it and learn how to still strike the golf ball well with that problem. And then what we do is we identify the physical assessment screens. So we teach you physical assessment screens to identify whether the swing characteristic is coming because of something not working with the body. So whether it's hip rotation or thoracic rotation or what have you, we give you the tools to be able to physically assess someone. And what that screen does is it just tells you there's a problem. It doesn't tell you why there's a problem or where the problem's coming from. It just identifies that, your thoracic spine is tight, or your hips are tight, or your neck is tight, or your shoulder rotation isn't what it could be. And as a result, you might have these issues in your golf swing. We relate those back to the physical, the swing characteristics. And then we give you two choices. So what we want to train all our TPI certified guys is do the screen, evaluate the swing, and basically the customer has two choices. We can either build you a golf swing around what you can physically do, or we can change your body to physically accommodate the golf swing that you ultimately want to have. So, those are the two options. And that's really the level 1 class. And then what we do from there is it's like, that's undergrad, and now you move to graduate school. And we've taken all of our level 2 classes online. And online, we can actually do a lot of things today that we can't even do in class by using things like motion graphics and, high-speed video and slow-motion video. We can really show what happens. And so we have a golf track that is takes all the information from the latest ball flight technology and shows you why it occurs, shows you what to look for, what not to look for, and really dives into why the ball starts the way it starts, why it curves the way it curves, and why it goes the distance it goes. And so we go through some biomechanics in that class, and when we dive more into short game and what the best players in the world do around short game and putting and so on and so forth. So it's very golf-centric, and that's where the golf pros go. The fitness side dives more into, why, if you're unstable or don't have great mobility, what is it that's wrong? Do you need more strength in the lower body? Is your issue coming from the fact that you don't have the support that you need to make a proper golf swing? And then we dive much deeper into some physical assessment screens that can identify those weaknesses. And then in the medical track for level 2, we get heavily into injury prevention and why somebody feels pain. So if someone's swinging a golf club and they go, ouch, my elbow hurts, or my lower back hurts, or my neck hurts, the medical professional from TPI is trained to go in there and figure out why that's happening. And that's extremely powerful because, like every governing body in golf wants to grow the game, we can't lose people out of the game. And as many young kids as coming into the game, we're losing just as many out the back of the bus, which we can't have happen if we want to keep this game growing. So we really need those medical professionals, and we need people to realize that there's experts out there that can really help you get back to playing golf. And even if you've had lower back surgery or a hip replacement or a knee replacement or arthritis or elbow pain or what have you, there are experts like yourself, Jeff, that can help people get back on track. So those, and then level 3, we get even deeper into it, and we do a lot more hands-on stuff. And then we also have a junior track that is really the basis now for a new development that we're working on, which is really exciting for us, in that the PGA of America and the PGA Tour have developed with us kind of a new company called Together Growing the Game, and we are building the first junior development pathway sponsored by the PGA and the PGA Tour. That really could change the game into it gives parents a pathway for which kids can follow to make sure that, one, they grow up with the right fundamentals for the game, but also that they understand their bodies, and whether they become great golfers or not, we want them to have a passion for the game and a love for the game so that they become fans of the game. So that's really exciting for us. And so that's kind of, I've rambled on a bit there, but that's kind of the nutshell. So
no, that's great. And I love the idea of the junior program, and because you guys really talk about the idea that junior golfers, really the best golfers come out of great athletes. And so to teach these kids as they're young to move properly, to just be athletic, get out and play and do different things, and make the golf instruction at a young age very fun. I've always loved and enjoyed the fact that you guys preach that so often, and you know, some of your guys like Milo do such a great job working with them.
Sure.
And then, you know, the other component of the TPI program that I have really enjoyed, and really it's been great because it has helped the rest of us that are TPI certified network with some other people, is the fact that, you know, you preach the team approach, the medical, the golf instructor, the fitness side, and you know, all of us working together, not necessarily one person trying to do it all for their golfers, kind of sticking with your core competencies and then being able to refer out and network and make relationships with these other people that can then help the golfer move further. And along those lines, I want to kind of dive into what I think has become a little bit of a gray line when working with golfers along the fitness side and the golf instructor side. Where do we draw the line between the fitness and the golf? Because I know sometimes I'll have golfers come into me looking for, you know, golf related instruction, and I know sometimes the golfer will go to the instructor and, you know, they'll get some fitness related stuff. Where do we draw that line, and when is it okay to kind of combine that line?
Well, I think this is why, you know, bringing up to your other point, it's so important to build a team, right? So I think that if everybody's got a common goal, and that is to make that golfer better. We always say in level one that the golf professional is really the driver of the ship. He's the king of the food chain here, because he's the one that's really going to have to drive the ship and make sure that people at the golf club are interested, that are educated on fitness and medical and so on. And, you know, I'm a big proponent that golf professionals should be educating their customers at the country club, you know, bringing in fitness experts. You know, I've said many times that there should always be a massage therapist or some kind of person that does body work as part of your team that can come in, because, you know, a good therapist, an ART, active release therapist, or somebody that can go up and do some kind of myofascial release can help somebody so much. Somebody that's feeling pain or can't turn, just a few sessions, they can all of a sudden have a great, you know, body motion. So I always look at it that you need everybody together, and the only time the lines get blurred is if the fitness person is working on somebody and is not communicating with the golf professional, and the golf professional, same with the fitness. And that's why building teams to me is so valuable, and it's in any organization, any business, anything that, you know, anybody's involved with. You're so much more powerful when you surround yourself with people that can bring other things to the table. You know, I don't believe in life that you should have one coach. I think that everybody could be your coach. I think that, you know, it doesn't matter whether you meet a 10-year-old that can hit the ball great. They can still teach me something. And so I'm very open to having a lot of different players on the team, but there has to be one person that's controlling the ship, and that is, to me, the golf professional when it comes to golfers. And you know, I just think that educating everybody, you know, you see this with the most successful players on the PGA Tour today. When I look at Jordan Spieth, he has an incredible team around him. I look at Zach Johnson, a credible team, a golf professional, medical, fitness. You know, each one of these guys, they usually come to TPI once or twice a year, and they bring their entire team. We're a part of that team. TPI doesn't just do it, but we're that team that looks at the science behind what they do, evaluate what they do, and then we get everybody talking the same language, so that if the golf pro isn't there, it's fine for the medical or the fitness to talk a little bit about golf, as long as he's saying the same things as the golf professional wants him to say. So that's kind of my take on it.
Sure. Yeah, I actually had the opportunity last week to go hang out with Damon Goddard down at Amped Fitness.
Oh, awesome.
And, you know, it just happened that it was a week that Jordan was off, and so Jordan was in the gym. And so obviously I've been getting a lot of questions this week of, you know, what was he working on? What were they doing? And, you know, I just have been telling people, you know, they were working on fitness-related stuff. They're like, well, was he, you know, working on his backswing or different things? And I'm like, no, he was training. He was working on his fitness routine. And there was a couple questions that when I told people that I was having you on the line tonight, somebody asked me, well, if you could ask Dave, how do we work on, you know, because we do some things in the gym, we do some things on the course. Sequencing is a big thing for golfers. and you can work on it in some of the exercises. You can obviously do drills, but what would you say to somebody that wants to work on the sequencing of a golf swing? What stuff do you do on the course or on the driving range, and then how can you also impact that in the gym without getting too technical?
Yeah, so sequencing is a term that comes up a lot, especially if you have access to 3D, which obviously we do, where we can really look at what the player's sequencing is and how they do what they do. The average person will never have access to that kind of technology, and it might be difficult. If they do and they can figure out what their sequencing is, and I highly suggest it, because if you're really struggling with the game, or you're a good player and you want to take it to the next level, it is very powerful to know how you create speed and power. And that's what the latest technology shows us. And there's quite a lot of 3D systems that can give that. But in terms of sequencing, there are a couple of little things that I like to do that can help people with their sequencing. And that is, I think, I got a great piece of information many years ago by a great instructor who's been a mentor of mine, Bob Toski. And Bob Toski was very plain and very blunt. He used to carry this dictionary around. And, if he asked you a question and you said, I feel stuck or I feel trapped, he would whip out the dictionary, open it to that word, and he would read what it said. And he'd said, "Is that what you feel?" And I'd say, "No." And he said, "Well, then why did you say it?" And he was really good at putting you on the spot. But one of the things that hit home with me many years ago was he said, "Why are you so worried about your backswing? You don't hit the ball with your backswing. You hit it with your downswing." So, sequencing and generating speed and power, yes, you need to be loaded effectively on your backswing. We know that, but there are lots of different ways to swing this club, and all of us have a different body and a different set of circumstances. But there are a couple things that you can do to work on your sequencing that's actually quite simple. If you take a club and swing it to the top of your backswing and stop, actually come to a complete stop, and then from there, try and hit a golf ball and see if you can actually do it. Because if your sequencing is good, in order to hit the golf ball with any kind of power at all, you're going to have to start with your lower body, followed by your torso, followed by your arms, followed by the club. You're going to have to do that, and that is the correct sequencing. If you can do that, and you should be able to stop at the top of your backswing, pause for probably 1 or 2 seconds, and then hit the golf ball just as far as you normally do, if your sequencing is good. If you find that when you stop at the top of your backswing, you can't even make contact, then you're probably not ready for that drill, but you've probably got some kind of a sequencing issue, in which case I would take it down a step. I would do it from a kind of 3/4 position, or just where my left, being a right-handed golfer, my left forearm is parallel to the ground, and I would try and hit a shot then. So I try different drills on the downswing. If you look at, he's played great this year, the Japanese player Hideki Matsuyama, he almost stops at the top of his backswing, right?
Yeah.
And yet he creates a lot of speed. And if you try that yourself, you'd be shocked at how good, if you can get to the point where you can strike the golf ball solidly and improve your ball striking from stopping at the top, you'll start to figure out how to start. And another way to do it would be, think about throwing a football or throwing a tennis ball. You usually come to a stop. If you look at a quarterback in football, they snap, the ball gets snapped to them, they go back, they get the ball back there, and then they're looking for their target, and then they sequence the motion and throw the ball. They're almost doing it from that stopped position. So I think it's a great drill to try, and I suggest everybody go out there and give it a shot and see if they find that it helps their sequencing. In terms of taking things to the golf course, there's a whole difference between a great golf instructor and a great coach. I think there's a lot of great golf instructors. I don't think there's a lot of great coaches. And the reason being is because most golf professionals spend 95% of their time instructing people on the driving range on swing mechanics. And that gets you so far, but it doesn't help you shoot lower scores. I mean, I've never seen the Jim Furyk school of golf. Yet Jim Furyk's made $60 million playing golf and is, top 5 in the world right now, and has been top 20 for a long, long time. And I'm just going, everybody wants to compare themselves to Rory or Jordan. I'm like, what about Jim Furyk? The
Right.
guy's 44, 45 years old. He's never really been injured or hurt. He's been out there a long time. He's made a lot of money. And obviously, he's doing something right to strike the ball the way he does. And his golf swing came about because of a swing problem. So many years ago, when he was just a young player, a college player, his father's always been his coach. Jim actually used to come over the top and slice the golf ball. And basically, one day, his dad just said, well, why don't you take it outside like Lee Trevino and drop it inside and see if that works. That might help you, shallow it out a little bit. And so off he went. And he started working on that golf swing that he's got today. And he started hitting it so good like that. He said to his dad, can I just play like this? And his dad said, yeah, why not? Go ahead. And $60 million later, he's still doing it. So, I think sometimes we get this concept in our mind when we go to the golf course that we have to have this perfect golf swing in order to take it to the golf course. And you don't. What you need to take to the golf course is you need club face control. You need to know what's going on with the club face through the hitting area and why the ball does what it does. So that's another part of educating yourself on the ball flight laws is why does it start left and curve to the right, and why does it start right and hook to the left or what have you. Because once you understand that, once you educate yourself on that, you start to go, oh, well, if the face is closing, then why don't I just strengthen my grip or weaken my grip, or why don't I just change my setup slightly and do what I do, because I'm pretty good at doing that, and then all of a sudden that will change. And what's amazing to me is I've been with enough elite level tour players that play in these pro-ams, and I'll never forget Tom Kite saying to me that he would dread these pro-ams because he would get out there and he's on the golf course trying to get a little practice in and see the course. And now he's got, 5 hours with these guys that have paid to be with him that are nice guys. And, most of them are somebody's, invited them to play in the Pro-Am, and you get a guy who's a 30 handicap that dribbles the first 4 or 5 shots along the ground, or he snap hooks it left or hits it way to the right. And basically what Tom would do is he would wait basically 2 holes to see what was happening. And then he would immediately make a grip change. And he would get a magic marker out, and he would go up to the person, and he'd go, okay, I'm going to give you a tip. And everybody's, oh, wow, I'm going to get a tip from Tom Kite, and he would draw on their glove, and he would say, okay, I want you to, for the rest of the day, put the club right there, and just let's have fun. You keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. Now, what he did was he basically changed the position of the face at impact. And so that ball that started left and kept going left, it might still start left, but all of a sudden it would come back in play. The player would think Tom was the greatest coach in the world. And as a coach, I learned a tremendous amount from that. In that, we didn't change everything, but we changed the most important thing. And for the golf course, that's what you need to know how to do. So when you talk about sequencing, it's not something I'd be thinking about when I come to the golf course.
Right.
I'm thinking about, let's get locked in on a shot. Let's make sure we can find it. And, let's control the club face. And if you can do that, you can play this game. Anybody can play this game.
What would you say are a couple of the most common mistakes that you see? Let's go within the gym, because since we do focus a lot on the fitness side here, what are some of the things that you see golfers doing, or even fitness trainers in the same respect, that you would say is kind of misleading the golfer or taking them in the wrong direction?
I think there's too much let's break this up into different areas. So, if you look at the college area, which is a dangerous area because you have now a lot of elite players, I see a lot of team training. To me, team training is great for cardiovascular and to have some fun and some exercises, but that is ridiculous for training golfers. And I cringe when I see, a great young player in their, high school days that have come and they've had a group and they've had a coach and they've had a trainer, and now they all of a sudden graduate and they get to go to the college of their dreams, and their golfing career basically hits a wall. and it hits a wall because, they get there and all of a sudden somebody's telling them how to swing, how they're going to train. And, they've taken away this program that they already had. They were already good. They were already on the right track. So, I think that at that level, you've got to screen them and you got to figure out what their body needs, and you've got to build individual programs for each person. You can do some cardio stuff together, but individualize the programs. And that really goes across the board. So, again, I see a lot of people get in the gym. I want to get stronger. I want to get faster. You can only add weight and heavy weight if the person can stabilize that weight and if they've got functional movement in that range of motion. I dread it when I see people, trying to do squats with weight and they can't even do a squat without weight. So, there's certain exercises in the gym I look at and I go, I get it. It can make somebody strong, but if they don't have functional movement first, you're setting them up for failure. And no golfer should come back to me, the golf professional, tight after a workout. That should never happen. They shouldn't feel like they can't move or swing the golf club. If they do, to me, then that's a miscommunication between me, the golf professional, and the trainer.
Sure. Yeah, right. I mean, I think it's something that we preach here, and I know that you guys preach it in all of your educational seminars, the fact that every person has their own individual needs, and looking at the way that the body moves before putting you in any kind of loading position or things like that, we have to make sure that things are either working the way that they should or find a way around working through whatever that issue may be, whether it's a hip or a knee or something like that. Because as we both know, we can't make everybody move like Rory McIlroy and Jordan Spieth, so we have to work around things. But knowing what your body can handle and having somebody help you develop a program like that is absolutely important.
And you asked me something at the start as to why behind TPI and the why and the what and so on, and when you think about it, you as a trainer, me as a golf professional, medical professional, what have you, you've got to spend time educating your students. If you don't educate them, if you don't tell them why you're going to do this, then they're not going to trust you. And when because a lot of times to get better and stronger and faster, it's baby steps. And even golf swing, it's baby steps. You're not going to fix this in a day. You're not going to fix it in a week. And I'm going to lay out the plan, but I'm going to tell you what to expect. And as long as you keep educating them along the way, then they're going to be a customer for life. If it's, we're going to do this and you don't tell them why, and they don't see the results right away, those are the ones that don't come back. Those are the ones that quit because they've got this expectation that they're going to be fixed in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And it can take more time than that. So as much as golf professionals need to educate their customer on technology, on the latest TrackMan data, on whatever it is, I think fitness and medical, it would be good to have these teach-ins. I mean, we did that all the time growing up, would be, we would sit down and bring up a golf swing and all the instructors would get in a room together and we would all go around and go, what do you think about this? And what do you think about this? And I think that needs to be done. Those little mentorships with your own people that work for you, those little group sessions can sometimes be the most valuable sessions of all,
Absolutely. All right, I have a question for you, and I think this will be interesting for everybody listening. You've worked with a ton of golfers. I'm wondering, is there maybe one story, don't have to drop names if you don't want to, but an individual that maybe came to you guys and made just a very dramatic change in their game after implementing some fitness stuff or medical stuff that really sticks out to you?
Well, there's been a lot of amateur level golfers and there's been a lot of elite level. And we've been fortunate to turn, we've said this before, good players into great players. I mean, I've taught 22 major champions, which is just amazing that, there's that many guys I've been involved with their teams where they've won major championships. And when I look at all the different guys that have come through, we've had tremendous success stories and we've had some failures too. We've turned great players into good players, which isn't fun, and probably, one of the ones that, and I'll mention his name because he won't mind me doing it, that I struggle with every day because I think he's one of the greatest individual people I've ever met, and that is Padraig Harrington. And to be part of him winning 3 major championships, and then to see him go the other way, and really, when he decided he wanted to make swing changes and do the things he did, it wasn't what we wanted, and rather than stick to our guns and go, no, we really don't think you should do this, we kind of tries to appease him and help him understand what it was he wanted to change. And I think in many ways we probably hurt him. But, again, there's 2 sides to every equation. And, I think back to the successes that he had. And now, if you asked him, he would do the same thing again. He wouldn't change anything because his mindset is of, if I'm not doing something, if I'm not trying something, then I'm not excited about getting up in the morning and I'm never going to work as hard. But I would love to see him come back and be top 20 in the world because his skill set is so good and he's such a good person for the game, even though he's in his early 40s now, that I still think he could win. I really do, and win at the highest level. And I would love to see that happen again. And he's showing signs now. He's kind of come full circle, and he's showing some signs of getting back there, but there's still a few demons. But, so he would definitely be one. I think, when you look at this as a whole, I mean, everybody wants to talk about Tiger today and what's happened to him. And I think about Chris Como because I have a lot of respect for him, and I think he's a great young teacher, and he's one of those guys that is really passionate about the science behind the game and understanding the game. And I would look the other way. Everybody's looking for somebody to blame with Tiger. Right. And to me, I don't think he's got anybody to blame but himself. And I think he needs to look in the mirror personally and realize that, this is one of the greatest golfers of my generation. I mean, I was around, obviously, watching Jack Nicklaus when I was young, and he was incredible. But it's different today. There's so, the technology's different, the ball's different, the game is different. And when I look at Tiger today, I think, he's still got all the tools. And I still think watching him, you could see that it's going to happen. He's going to figure it out. And he's sticking with Chris, and he's working through some of these issues. The one thing that and I don't know, this is just my personal opinion, but I'm shocked that whoever is on his team, and I'm not privy to everybody that's on his team, hasn't looked at the physicality behind what's happened to his body and the fact that he's had, 4 lead knee surgeries, and he's had lower back surgery and, other ailments and so on and so forth. And yet you're trying to go back to a swing that you used to do in 2000 or somewhere like that on a body that doesn't work the same way and isn't the same body. So, I think he'll finally figure it out, and I think he's showing signs of it. But I think Chris is a great instructor, and I've seen people kind of blaming him and blaming what Tiger's doing, and it's not Chris's fault. I've been there, It's the player drives the ship. The player's still the one that's going to ask the questions and commit to doing it. So,
yeah, I think that in many respects, there's always somebody that, if it's not the athlete, people want to blame somebody. They want to put the blame on something. And, he is obviously the greatest golfer that I've ever seen, that I've grown up with. And I know that many, many folks out there want to see him come back. It just is so much more exciting when he's in the hunt, when he's there. Everybody's kind of looking over their shoulder, and we haven't seen that lately. And, I would love for, the kids that I'm working with now and training, for them to see that Tiger Woods that we all got to see.
And we may not see it. I hope we do. But you got to remember, Vijay Singh won 20-something tournaments in his 40s. Tiger's 39 and physically extremely gifted. Still, to me, the best iron player I've ever seen when it's on. Still got, all the attributes that you need. He's got power. He's got everything that you need. He's just got to figure it out and put it together. We're seeing baby steps. And, he's under the microscope. Every week, he shows up. There's 20 times more media on him than anybody else, even Jordan or Rory. There's more, on Tiger playing like he's playing than those guys. So he's definitely under the microscope every week, and it's harder to do it when you're in that kind of limelight like that. But I think he just needs some space. And you know what? I think he needs to play. I think he needs to put himself out there, and he's got to start playing 3 in a row, because this 1 week on, 1 week off is just, I don't know how you get better doing that. You got to play the game.
Yeah, it's got to be mental anguish going out there 1 week, not playing great, taking time off. It's just kind of a bit of a roller coaster going back and forth.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, as we kind of wrap up here, I want to ask, going forward, is the vision, or what's the vision and mission as TPI moves forward, and what exciting things do you guys have coming up?
You know, we're really excited about this junior development pathway. I mean, we've always wanted to grow the game and help develop players. I mean, we've done it at the highest level and taken them to the highest level. And now it's so much more than that, because golf is struggling in terms of getting participation. And the reason being is, you know, there's a lot of distractions now, and golf needs a little bit of a change. But, you know, it starts with the parent, and the parent, it's key. And the reason I say that is, you know, statistics clearly show that 50% of kids, even more, start playing sport by the age of 12. And that is like mind-boggling to me when I started to look into this and really look younger. I'm not talking 13, 14, I'm talking 12. Mm-hmm. And the biggest reason that we're having today is the games, regardless of what they play, whether it's lacrosse, whether it's soccer, whatever it is, are becoming so competitive at the middle school level that kids aren't choosing to play them anymore because they look at their buddies and go, I'm not as good as them, so I'm not going to try it. And I think that is terrible for the game. And so, you know, what we're really passionate about doing is creating this pathway from 5 years old to 12 years old that teaches parents as well. And we're not teaching you how to teach your child. We're just developing a pathway whereby you know what level they're at, and to get to the next level, these are the things that they should be at. It's not based on age, it's based on anybody that starts the game, and it gives the parents a roadmap. It says, hey, if you really want to do this, we need to get better at these skills. Now, you can find a coach, and the coach can teach you those skills, but we're going to come up with this pathway, and we've had a lot of help to do it. I mean, we've got, you know, thousands of touring professionals that have given us data and information on what it takes to develop. But more than that, it's this athletic ability, and it's understanding that your child needs to develop the primal movement patterns, the skills necessary, so that when they are 12, even if they choose not to play golf, I don't mind if they become the best tennis player, baseball player, or football player in the world. To me, it would be kind of cool that golf got them to there, or this golf development program turned them into an athlete, so that they had the tools necessary to compete in whatever sport they wanted. And I would like to see what we're doing in golf go into every sport. I really think it can. You know, we've been approached by some other governing bodies with what we've done in the golf world, and I would love to see, you know, every sport have a development pathway that's sponsored by the governing body that parents know, because it starts at home and it starts with the parent. They've got to be interested. And, you know, I remember back to when I started. I started because my dad took me to the golf course and gave me one club and said, learn to hit this club, and when you learn to hit that one, I'll give you another one. And that's how I started. I gave me a sand wedge, went out and played a couple holes in the evening with him, started hitting it up in the air. And after a couple weeks, I could hit it up in the air every time. And he gave me an 8-iron and said, hit this and do the same thing you're doing. And I went a little further up in the air, and it just got me hooked, you know. That's kind of what we're so passionate about at TPI. And then expanding our education programs and furthering that base and empowering guys like you to become better than us. I mean, I want to see you guys succeed to the highest level. You already are. You're doing a great job with this blog and this you know, website that you've got, and I commend you for that. And I think that it's important. It's important to get out there in the community and just keep educating people, keep being a voice out there. You know, those are the things people need. Well, cool.
I agree. And I first thank you for your kind words about the show and the website. But I have to say that you guys at TPI, guys like Jason and Lance, Dr. Brett McCabe, you know, all have been a big impact and influence on the reasons for starting this whole show, the 18 Strong podcast. And I like to get a feel from the guests that I have on. When you first heard the term 18 Strong, what did that kind of conjure up in your mind? What kind of a definition came to your head?
Well, I think whenever I hear the word 18, I can't think of anything but golf, obviously, because there's 18 holes. And when I hear the word strong, it brings a lot of emotions, because 18 strong to me means, physical, mental, emotional, all of those things are attributes that, somebody that's going to the golf course needs. And that kind of conjures up in what you do and the people that you have on. You have Brett McCabe, mental, the side, and you've got Lance and Jason, who are phenomenal at what they do. And you've got golf instructors and so on. So, it's a great name. I love the name. And, I think everybody out there needs to develop a team. That's what I think. I mean, regardless of, even if you're starting the game, it starts with one or two people, maybe one person at first, but don't be opposed to getting some other ideas and thoughts. I think it's great. You can learn from anybody. I think there's a lot of tour players out there that get information from a lot of other players. If you think you're the only coach out there teaching tour players, you're not, because every time they play a practice round, every time they play a tour event, they're watching somebody else they're playing with, and they're learning how, Phil hit that bunker shot or Rory hit that chip shot. They're watching. Believe me, they're learning. They're being coached every time.
Yeah, the more that I talk to different professionals, talk to different golfers, and the more I learn about the game and play the game and continue to grow to love the game even more, I just learned, I started 18 Strong as kind of the thought of, okay, let's put out a great website with a lot of fitness-related stuff. But as I start to evolve and this whole thing grows, I realize that golf is so much more, being strong in golf is so much more than just the fitness side, than good instruction. Yeah. It's a little bit of everything. It's how you treat your body. It's what you do when you're not on the course. There's so many different things. So it's kind of cool to see how this is kind of changing and evolving as we go, and the different professionals that I have on. I learn, just like you said, when you play around with another guy, you learn a lot. When I have a new guest on, I learn a lot, and hopefully the audience here is learning a lot from everybody that comes on the show.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was at the Special Olympics, and they had Abby Wambach there after she had just won the soccer, obviously the World Cup, and extremely successful and very inspiring lady. I was very impressed with her and how she spoke and what she did. And she said a great statement, and she said, you shouldn't should all over yourself. And we know what the other word would be, but I think a lot of people out there, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I could have done this, same thing. And I think she's so right in that don't question it, just go do it.
Right.
Go start something. So, if you want to hit the ball further, if you want to get stronger, go find a fitness professional, go find somebody to help you, and do it. Don't talk about it. Don't should it, could it, do it. And start something, because it's so important.
Absolutely. All right, maybe the most important question of the podcast: are you a Caddyshack or a Happy Gilmore fan?
I have to be a Caddyshack fan. To me, I still think it's the greatest golf movie. It's funny. I'm actually burning movies on. I have this thing that you can burn movies on when you travel, and that movie was the first movie I ever burnt on, and it'll hold about 100 movies, this hard drive. Caddyshack was the first movie I ever burnt on there, and I probably watch it at least twice a year on a flight to Asia or what have you, and the lines in that movie are classic.
Absolutely.
Caddyshack, best golf movie ever. Caddyshack 2, probably the worst golf movie ever.
I would totally agree with you on that. Absolutely. All right, Dave, I really want to thank you for coming on, and have to ask, is there any one last piece of advice that you would have for everybody listening?
Yeah, wow, that's a good question. I think, I think the biggest thing that I could say is that this is an incredible game, golf. I've learned so many things about people, and think of another sport that you can play from when you're 3 years old to when you're 93 years old. There isn't one, okay? think of all the places you can go around this world and the beautiful scenery and the incredible vistas and the golf courses you can play. Think of the people that you can meet, whether it's a group that you join at a course or what have you, and what they might bring to your life. And get out there and play this incredible game, because it's such a great game. I mean, I have a Rolodex full of incredible people. I mean, presidents and kings that I could call and they would answer it because I was a golfer, not because I was anybody else. You know, it is the greatest game there is. So I would just encourage people to get out there and play the game. You know, play it as much as you can, whether it's 5 holes, 9 holes, 3 holes. Just play the game. Don't stand on the range all day beating balls.
Phenomenal advice. Well, once again, Dave, can't thank you enough for coming on the show. I know that there's going to be a lot of people listening, a lot of people that love your stuff, love TPI, and a lot of folks that want to know more. Hopefully the golfers that are out there listening got a lot of information from you and will seek out one of their TPI professionals in their local area, because I think it is so important. And again, you guys have been a huge inspiration for the 18 Strong podcast, website, all of that stuff. So just can't thank you enough for coming on the show.
You got it. Thanks for having me, Jeff. Take care.
You bet. It was an incredible honor to have Dave on the show, to interview one of the guys that really started this whole movement, or helped to start this movement of golf and fitness, which has created, really for myself, a career. It's, you know, something that I never would have thought possible. And because these guys kind of paved the path, there is an opportunity for myself and many of the other fitness instructors, coaches, golf instructors that have gone through the TPI track and continue to utilize some of their knowledge, and has created a platform for us to shine and work with golfers and bring this whole fitness thing into the realm of the golf game. So, Dave, thank you for coming on the show. Really, really appreciate it. And again, just want to thank all of you out there for listening. It's kind of amazing to me, and it reiterates a little bit what we talk on the show about consistency of effort, that this podcast has come from where it started. It was just kind of an idea that I had, kind of a whim, wanted to get something started, and just started reaching out to people in the golf world to interview them, guys like Jason Glass, Lance Gill, Dr. Mark Smith, Brett McCabe, Damon Goddard, all these guys, Allie Gilbert, that started out, had no idea who I was, and really whether this podcast would ever make it on air. You know, a lot of these interviews were done before the website was put up. They had no point of reference to go to find out if this thing was really going to happen. So I have to thank those early supporters of the 18 Strong podcast. And it just goes to show that with consistency, putting out a podcast every week, putting out content every week, new videos as of recently, that consistency and hard work pays off many times beyond the work put in. And it's really created so many opportunities, so many friendships, so many relationships. And in the future, I know that there's going to be a lot of great things coming from 18 Strong and our YouTube channel and just our network of professionals that we're touching base with. And for you, the golfer, we're going to be able to create so much more great content with other individuals aside from myself, putting forth a lot of their best content. So I'm really, really excited about this next year. And again, I have to thank you for coming on, listening. Without the show, or without you, the show is not possible and doesn't continue for an entire year. So thank you very much. If you have a friend, another golfer that you think would enjoy the 18 Strong podcast, please pass on the information, share this episode on Facebook. I'm going to post some things about, the 1-year anniversary, and really want to continue to get the word out so we can continue to get these exceptional guests. And it's a big goal of mine to start getting some of the best and most well-known golfers on this podcast so we can dive in a little bit into their mental game, into their prep, and what they're doing on and off the course, and some of the challenges that they have, so we can relate that to your golf game. So as always, train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.
Thanks for listening to the 18 Strong podcast at www.18strong.com. And remember, train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.